5 tons of guns back with you here. This is Casey here on the Quail House project. I want to give you an update and some more good tips to make your life easier and, well, just, to make it more simpler. So, here's the #1 Quail House, our first one. And we made the lid out of 1-inch lumber. Here we've got #2, and you can also make the lid, the door, out of 2x4s. Okay, they're pretty solid. We have them both occupied. We have quail in #1, and we're brooding baby chickens in #2. So about as fast as we can build them while we have them occupied. They get out of hand. Everything we do. So anyway, let me back up a little bit to the let's go with the now with the doors, you'll want to have your hinges on the bottom, and start off with smaller hinges. That way, if they do get broken off, well, you can go into newer wood here for your hinges. Now we've made these to where they hold down as straight as we can get them, and they dangle. But you'll want to do that. Now we're totally there are no nails on these screws because we are making these for interchangeable parts where you can always replace a part. Take the screws out and put a new part in, like Eli Whitney. So we're doing this. We've shown you about this. We want to back up a little bit, and we want to show you. You've already got your frames made, your main components where you're going to be attaching everything to. But here's the measurements and how you draw it out. And if you'll come over here, and from the top of your long side, on your 70 or 80 degree angle, why, that'll be 7 inches from the top of your quail house. So now you come on down here, 23 inches to the bottom. And according to how you want to put the bottom frame on, which we put that in for support and maybe a future project. But anyway, here's the measurements. 7 inches. 23 inches, 43 inches. Now your front standards, your legs, they will be 63.5 inches overall height. Your back standards will be 58.5 inches. Now this is if you want to make it exactly like this. Now, the height and everything, but you do it accordingly as to how you see fit. But I was showing you, and some of the reasons why I went with 25 1/4 inch wide frame. And that's coming later. Okay, now, the first one here, we had these hardware store custom made, you know, you buy, and you know, I've got a hodgepodge of different fasteners to keep everything firmed up. So I thought, you know, I do not want to be doing this. So out of these transformers that we take apart to get the copper, why you can detach the E from the I. And I made a video on this earlier, and to show you how to do it. So what you do is just, you know, scarf this out, you know, that weld across there. And then try to keep this intact as much as you can. Then you take a drill and drill through it. That way everything's alike. Everything will interchange for you. It'll make life easier for you. You know, these are laminates, but I found that if you put two of them together, they're relatively strong, especially whenever you can put them front and back. Alright, that's another tip. It's good to have a bevel gauge, you know, for your 70 or 80 degree angle. You know, just keep it consistent. You know, you're only 10 or 20 degrees off of 90 degrees. Another good little tool to have, you know, a little spare. It's nice to have a power tool if you got it. You know, I would dearly like to have used a table saw or a chop saw on this, but we did all of this with a framing saw and, you know, miter box for the doors. But we did all this with hand tools. We do have an electric drill and a drill press. So anyway, I told you about making your own jig. You know, use the 3 holes for your frames, your main components, and then your two holes down on each end for when you put it together. And you can see this over here. If you come over here and look, you'll see how these holes match up with these screws. When you put your standards, your legs, these are a good thing to be having, and it'll get you started off. You know, it'll really get you started off on the right foot and make your work look nice and neat. Okay, then we got 2 of these completed, and they're already occupied. So if you'll come over here and follow me, and I'll show you, you know, this is the third. If you look at this here, the third quail house here, why we are nearly to completion. So before you get your coverings, you know, like your wire cloth and your sheet metal, you know. By the way, I'll show you an advantage of using sheet metal. But instead of doing all that, you know, you want to get your partition in first. Now I've got everything measured out here for you, and what you're going to be doing is, you you're going to have 22 inches wide. And then you're going to have 16 inches tall. And that, you know, you're making like an interchangeable part. You know, make them up beforehand, however many you're going to be making. But it'll make life a lot easier if you, you know, why not? But then you'll have these slide rails, and they're 3/8. You could buy them, and they'll take a 3/8 piece of plywood. Now on your mouse hole, you want to be 6 by 6 or thereabouts. And then your slide rails will allow you to close off your sand room if you want to cut out some quail or cull them out. Well, you can close all that out. And with the sheet metal, well, you're going to have enough resistance to where it will stay up or down. So we got the mouse hole, 6 by 6, your 3/8 plywood door, 7 inches by 8 inches. And your rails will be 11 inches. That way, it'll be held captive inside there. It won't fall out and flop around. It'll always be there. And if it does get loose or it will not stay up, why, drill it and pin it. Put a shingle nail in there. You know, you'll have it. You'll know what to do. Now, this is made out of the ends of computer towers, as you can see. And I've put the sheet metal together in order to make this presentation, you know, to show you what you can do with not much at all. So, before you put your covering, your wire and your sheet metal on, and I found this out the hard way, you know, it's always the hard way. What you want to do, and I'm going to come around here and I'm going to show you that you want to put this in first. You've already got your holes in here. And your holes are drilled out or punched out 5/32. Not 1/8, but 5/32. Because the 5/32 slightly bigger around in diameter will accommodate most of your wood screws that you're going to be using. So we're going to come around here and I'll show you. Okay, you want to, you know, come around here now, all of you. Now, you see how that fits up in there? Now, you want to build a frame within your frame for your partition. That way, it's going to just work so nicely. Now, see how this fits up in here? And you got, you know, plenty of tolerances, you know, to get it just right. And you want to get this in before you put your coverings on, your wire cloth and such. Get that in there because you can get in there and do it. So enough on that. Now here's another tip with your sheet metal. If you'll go on over here now. Now, for your sandbox, Yeah, you just didn't want to put something over there and not have it sealed up completely, you know, where something could go in there. So what what I did, or what we did here is we cut it out. You know, you're already 16 inches here. You know, that's your constant that you are working with. And we got our holes already in here. And you can slip this tab in here like this. And then you can take your fasteners, your screws, and again, you can make these to where they'll interchange with all of your, you've already got your dimensions if you ever have to replace parts. You know, I don't intend on helping my granddaughter 20 years from now rebuild these things. So, anyway, here's a good little tip. And then you can put your screws on the inside. And, you know, the advantage with the sheet metal is it keeps everything firmed up. And straight and square and solid. Okay, now, while we're on the back of this quail house, I want to tell you about this wire. And yeah, you could wrap it around and stuff like that, but why not do the same on your wire that you did on your sheet metal? Cut a notch out like this. Now, if you'll get behind me, you see how that is? Cut it back 2.5 inches. You know, your little squares, and slip it in here. And look here, you got it. Now the 16-inch ceiling, that's where that comes in, because you can take 24-inch wide hardware cloth and you can split it down the middle for the back of your common area, the end of your common area, and then also the door of your common area. Just split it down the middle. You're going to have 11 inches to work with, and you'll have plenty to fasten it on. You know, we're using staples, 3/8, and after you put them in, well, you got to set them, you know, with a hammer. But anyway, this will save you, you know, where you're not going to have a lot of excess or waste on your wire. So that's how it's going to be going. And, you know, everything's reinforced and solid. You know, this part, you'll staple that all in there from the inside. And we're doing this the best way that we think that we can be as efficient as we can be doing. So I think it's about ready to call it a day, and we want to get into the wheels and you know, the undercarriage and making them. I'll show you. we can take a look at these wheels that we have already over here. We look up here really close to these wheels. Why, yeah, they're 6-inch diameter, but to the Quail house, they look a little bit out of proportion to me. So we've got, you know, you're going to see us changing these wheels out to 10-inch wheels. And we'll show you how to make the running gear and we like doing this. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back with you on the next video.